So I've got James Ferracci on the line now, as we're going to be talking about the recent announcement of the creation of All Elite Wrestling. Of course, this is a promotion that more or less was the creation of Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. Apparently it has some financial backing from a wrestling fan by the name of, rather wealthy and eccentric wrestling fan by the name of Tony Khan. I'm going to read you basically the article that I've got here from WrestleZone, if you want just a moment. So like I said, it says, Raja.com is reporting that they have exclusive rights regarding who is in discussion with the company and what television offers may be on the table. It's important to state that nothing is confirmed by any sort of the imagination, but the names Raja includes are more than familiar to mainstream fans. According to the report, Tony Khan, the president of AEW, is fronting $100 million for the launch of the company. In addition to that, one of the parties that Khan is helping to facilitate a television deal with is Time Warner, who, if AEW and Khan did break a deal with, would have AEW on TBS or TNT. Important to note there that technically I don't think it's Time Warner anymore. I think they split that off.
It's Warner Media, I think.
And also according to Raja's report, legendary commentator Jim Ross will be heavily involved with the company in both a commentary position and a backstage role. Ross has denied these reports previously, but his deal with WWE is also set to run out in the first quarter of 2019. Wrestling super agent Barry Bloom's name is also in the mix from a recruitment role, as he represents a great deal of notable talent in the business. A name that has been brought up is Goldberg, and it is reported that AEW will go hard for talent that includes wrestling legends and the current crop of top-name performers. Chris Jarrett...
Can I say...
Sure, yes?
Can I say something real quick? Last time I heard of something like that, blending of the old and the new, was with Herb Abrams in the UWF. That scares me, because
definitely get to that
Abrams was...
We'll definitely get into that in just a moment. I was just going to finish up this article. It's almost done here. Chris Jericho is also reported to have an in-depth role, and once the company's legally able to, they'll make a run at WWE employees who are not necessarily wrestling talent, but ones in roles to help with the inner workings of the promotion. Now, I can tell you right now, knowing the opinions some of my friends have of who's behind the scenes in WWE, that might not instill them with a lot of confidence. Mainly, to finish this thing off, Raja finally states that while Cody and the Bucks are indeed executive vice presidents, the trio's primary focus will be as in-ring talent. Okay. Yeah, so obviously you brought this up, that the idea of trying to mix the old with the new. You brought up the UWF, the second incarnation of the UWF, the one that Brian Zane did a whole video on some time back, I believe.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not just them. You're trying to you might think that's essentially what TNA Impact did for the longest time.
Don't mention that company.
I'm gonna say this. Well, I kind of have to, because it's kind of in comparison to what TNA did wrong and what AEW needs to do to try to make it right. Because this has the potential, I think, to at least maybe not be a serious competitor to WWE for at least a few number of years, but there is a potential to get themselves a footing in the door. And obviously, sure thing, yes.
I have a couple ideas as to what they should be doing right. One, they should not go for any quick media deals right off the bat. They should take like a year to develop all their things, get all their ducks in a row, get everything right, get the talent right, get the championships, get the characters, the talent, all of that.
Definitely, I definitely see your point there. Obviously, because if you're managing to get a major deal with, especially a network like TBS or TNT, even though those networks, I've told you this for a long time of experience, all these TV networks are majorly desperate for live programming as much as possible, although I highly doubt AEW will be broadcasting live on television, even if they do get a major deal. Obviously, you're going to have to, there's going to be a lot of pressure to succeed, especially as far as television ratings go from the outset, so that's a difficult, that's something, that's kind of a very high hill for them, they would have to try to climb right from the start. On the other hand, though, I was going to say this, they definitely need some type of media presence. If not with a network like TNT or TBS, whatnot, they're going to have somebody who's highly versatile and skilled in online media. They would almost have to create their own version, their own website in the WWE Network, because you brought this up too. Bringing up, they need to get people time to get acclimated to the characters. That brings into the two things that I say have to happen more than anything for them to succeed. One of them that's not mine, I'm going to bring this up. I know someone online on social media suggested, start small and work their way up as far as their house and arena shows go. Don't shoot for anything like larger than a couple thousand seat arenas at the outset. Might be a good way to go there. But here's my two biggest things. If this is going to work, one, as far as Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks go, even if they are going to be major in-ring talent for this promotion, they, and I'm specifically aiming at Cody himself, can't make this promotion just about them. This is something so many wrestling fans don't seem to grasp a hold of. They're automatically going to think, in my view, that because this is a promotion run by wrestlers, that these guys are automatically going to know that they're going to just do whatever the fans want. But there's not a big history of that. You look at almost all of the past promotions that have been created/run by former actual wrestling talent, be it Vern Gagne, Fritz Von Erich, and yes, Jeff Jarrett himself. All of them have had problems of their own egos getting in the way just as much, if not more, than Vince McMahon does. And it's always led to their undoing. Case in point, especially being with Jeff Jarrett, who basically, from the outset, from the start at least, was basically created TNA Impact to make himself a world champion. That was practically what the whole deal was with him.
What's up with this Global Force Wrestling? It's not happening, I think. Also, one other thing I should suggest that they do is avoid saying, we're bringing wrestling back to its roots.
Yeah, good point. Well,
Brian Zane said it best, you can't go backwards. Wrestling evolves. Everything evolves.
Maybe there's a kind of yes and no. I have kind of a yes and no situation there, so I'll get to the second point very soon. Main thing I was about to get was, what was I about to say? Yeah, main thing was, I do think that Cody Rhodes is a rather intelligent person, the son of Dusty, who was a pretty big, booker in his days of the NWA back in the late 70s and 80s. I think he's got the ability and hopefully the intelligence to make this thing work. He just can't let his own ego get in the way and look at this as his opportunity to make himself a major world champion. Especially if one of the rumors I've heard is that this is basically that All Elite Wrestling is going to become a major central territory for the NWA eventually. But that basically brings me into the second point of this. More than anything, if AEW wants to eventually become a major wrestling promotion down the line, Cody, the Young Bucks, whoever is going to be behind the scenes as far as creative and booking for this company, they've got to know, more than anything else, it's got to be about the characters. Not just putting in a bunch of guys who do a bunch of fancy, flippy wrestling moves back and forth, but you don't give any type of personalities that makes us wonder, why do we want this guy? to be in the main event? Why do we want this guy to win matches? Because this is where, again, where I think I get into a major argument with a lot of wrestling fans that think that you just put on great 5-star matches and people are going to flock to it and somehow realize that the art of staging a sport they'll come to realize just that's so much better than watching a real sport. You're not going to drive people away from the NFL playoffs that are going on right now, posting that
Don't
kind of
talk
crap.
to me about the NFL playoffs.
Well,
as far as I'm concerned,
NFL playoffs, NBA regular season, spring training of Major League Baseball, I can say anything about that. And hey, I gotta deal with those Cowboy fans because they ended up winning. And as a guy who doesn't like the Cowboys, that's not exactly a barrel of roses for me. But the main point I'm getting is that you're not what wrestling. So many today's wrestling fans on the internet cannot get through their skulls is that you're never going to win people over and draw people away from actual competitive sports by just, for lack of a better term, putting on a fake sport for the sake of a fake sport. That's one area where I will agree with you and Brian Zane and say you can't go back to its roots as far as trying to put the thing off as a real sporting event like it did in the territory days before VKM. That is never going to work no matter how much people like all the Jim Cornettes of the world shout to the rafters yelling at clouds about it. On the other hand, as far as this whole wrestling evolves type of thing, you can't just go about it. You can't sell the great wrestling as of itself. Because I said, no one's going to turn away from actual sports for that. It's got to be about the entertainment, whether you want to hear that term or not. You've got to create good characters. You've got to create good storylines. And look, I will admit that at this exact time, the storylines and the characters of WWE aren't at their best right now. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny that. The problem is, and the number one reason why no one's posing a legitimate threat to them is they're not doing any better. They're doing any worse because they don't even try. I mean, I'm willing to think, I still think that there's still people in WWE that are trying. They're just not having the right people or persons involved to get it to work. But every other promotion in the area, be it New Japan, Ring of Honor, or whatnot, they're just putting in, watch these great fake fighters put on great fake fights. And that does not work. Trust me, as someone who has friends who have worked in actual sports and sports journalism for years, you're never going to convince people that just watching people stage a sporting event when they know that therefore there's nothing really at stake because both competitors are going to go back in the back and have a beer afterwards after pretending to beat the crap out of one another when they know it's not real, when they know they're in real life there's nothing really at stake, unlike what you get in the World Series. It's not worth turning into. You've got to make it feel like a television show, for lack of a better term. It's got to be something where you see the type of characters these wrestlers are and what makes you want to tune into them and want to make them why you want to see these guys go after each other and why you want one guy to win over the other. That's what got me into wrestling back in 2002. And while I admit to never being my views agreeing with a lot of people, this is one time I think I truly am in the majority as far as the belief that you can't sell professional wrestling to a major audience just on the fact that there's supposedly a great art to faking a sporting event. You do that,
Chris?
Yep.
My first WrestleMania I ever saw was WrestleMania 12. It was an entire show based on the talent, based on the pro wrestling. I actually enjoyed that. I actually enjoyed the 60-minute Iron Man match. I enjoyed the Hollywood Brawl between Piper and Goldust. I loved the Ultimate Warrior return against Hunter Hearst Helmsley. That's how far back as a wrestling fan I've gone. So you're not talking to someone.
Perhaps. I mean, like, by contrast, my first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 19. And that was all based on, more than anything else, the storyline of Brock Lesnar losing his world title after Paul Heyman double-crossed him, only for it to end up in the hands of Kurt Angle. And you just knew from that time that happened around the end of 2002 that the whole build-up was about Lesnar getting his title back from Angle. And I've told you this, I've told this a lot. The very first wrestling show I ever watched was, as I later found out, the first SmackDown of since they officially became World Wrestling Entertainment. And I tuned in.
It was back in 2002.
Yeah, and I tuned in just out of curiosity, as they really, what is it about this thing that people tune in for when they know everything is fake? And when I saw these guys on microphones acting like such characters, I saw Triple H getting into Vince McMahon's face almost right from the outset, I started to see like, okay, now I get it. They're performers, not just necessarily athletes. They're trying to put together a whole storyline like a television program. That's actually kind of cool. If they've got to have that. AEW is going to have that thing where, I'm going to admit, I've been to one or two shows of Metroplex Wrestling in the past couple of years here. What hurt me there was the fact that there were almost no promos going on in that show. It was just the matches, and I didn't know who anyone was, why I would want one particular person to win over the other. Now, I think they're getting better. I think they've got their own website now. I think they're trying to produce some more video promos, at least. It's something there. They haven't had much more than a Facebook page for a number of years. But I think they might be improving, and maybe there might be something more to it now. I'll try to give it another try sometime in the future. But ultimately, more than anything else, like I said, All Elite Wrestling, if they really want to be something more than just a minuscule product that's going to draw a few hundred people a night to some type of converted strip mall building, where they're going to have to use for a main facility, if they want to be something more than that, they're going to have to understand that it's going to be about building, creating, and marketing storylines and characters that is going to be compelling to watch. And that's not just on Cody or whoever's going to be in the booking staff or creative staff. It's got to be on the talent themselves. They've got to make a commitment that they can't just care about what new type of backflip off the top rope they can do. They've got to be a type of gimmick and character that's going to engage the audience. And that's what I think, as far as the wrestling talent goes, is severely lacking. Everyone's saying how great wrestling is nowadays, just from the level of athletic talent so many wrestlers have now, but it's not doing much. The type of characters, in my view, are severely lacking. And that's
I hear where you're coming from.
Not just WWE, but all of wrestling in general. And the only way AEW is going to try to push the standards more now, and become, to say nothing of becoming a legitimate competitor to WWE, is they've got to get back to making wrestling about the characters as much as the wrestling. That's one area where I will say they probably
And one other thing they should be doing, they need to focus on the future, not focus on the nostalgia acts. That's where the UWF failed and the AWF failed.
Yeah, I will grant you that. They need to make sure they know how to bring in new talent and make sure that talent is turned into the type of gimmicks and characters that will draw in an audience. It's not as easy as it looks, especially since it doesn't like too many promotions, especially outside WWE, are willing to do that much, but that's what they have to do if AEW is going to succeed.